My name is Christina Pearson, and when I was a child, I wanted to grow up and be the first woman on the moon, first female president. I also, at one point, decided around 12 I would be like a brain surgeon. What happened was I grew up with a condition called trichotillomania, compulsive pulling out of my hair, mostly my scalp, although I pulled everywhere. A couple of years later, that was around 12, at 15 I developed skin picking. Both of these disorders became extremely profound. I got a psychiatric discharge from high school after 17 days of ninth grade, and I never went back. The suffering through my teens and my 20s and into my early 30s was devastating. The impact of these disorders was I felt like life was passing me by. I couldn't go in the wind. I could not swim. I wouldn't be intimate. All of these things were, and of course, I think what is most important is how utterly broken and defective I felt inside. I knew I was smart, but if I was so smart, why couldn't I manage my own body's behavior? So it became like the 8-ball in my awareness at all times. At the age of 33, I did discover that there were other people, and not only were there other people, there were millions of people suffering below the public radar, in homes, in offices, in hospitals, in nunneries, in retreat centers, at every level of social engagement. It was a profound experience. And out of a series of events that happened, I had the honor and the opportunity to establish an organization called the Trichotillomania Learning Center, which today, 25 years later, is thriving and helping many people around the world, and working to really continue searching for a cure. The Trichotillomania Learning Center, during the time that I was there, was responsible for bringing trichotillomania and related problems to the scientific community's awareness at a level where they could not be ignored. And in 1996, our scientific advisory board, in 2006, our scientific advisory board published a study called the Trichotillomania Impact Project. And what that did was it validated the significance of the public health impact of these disorders. And that was groundbreaking. Out of that work came many, many published studies. And we began the process of bringing other forms of attention to this disorder. The problem is that today there are many people suffering who do not have access to appropriate treatment. It's either too far away or just it's not accessible. And although the Trichotillomania Learning Center is working to educate therapists constantly and train them, I think that it's also necessary for us to develop other resources for our community. And today I am here to, on behalf of a new educational portal called the Heart and Soul Academy for BFRB Living Skills. And because my experience is that even if we don't have the cure yet, there are a lot of things that can be really, really helpful. And I'd like to get that information out to people who would like to access it, wherever they are and whenever they are. So, our beginning project is a series of educational videos, both a short version and a longer version. And these are, essentially, we're putting these together to raise the level of conversation and really engage people in the thoughtful process of really evaluating what's out there, what needs to be done, what do we know, where do we go, and so today I'd like to let you know a little bit about who we'll be interviewing. I'd like to introduce you to one of my co-directors and a very dear friend of mine, and a man who's been deeply involved for more than 2 decades in helping to move the whole field forward, mostly behind the scenes. His name is Fred Bartlett. I first met him in, I think it was 1993, might have been 1994, and it was at a Trichotillomania Learning Center retreat. I found him to be a very thoughtful, caring, quiet young man who was deeply, deeply interested in getting things done. And since that time, Fred has become one of my closest friends, fabulous and a very, very profound advisor, both on a personal level and also professional level, in terms of what is the science that we need to kind of get interested in what we're doing. You know, a short time after I met Fred, he came to the Santa Cruz offices of TLC, and he was so enthusiastic about finding out what needed to be researched scientifically. How could we bring these types of problems to a higher level to really draw significant resources and discoveries? And since that time, Fred has played a profound role in helping to get scientific researchers, from geneticists to cognitive therapy providers, interested in various different projects. And I'm happy to say that and the wonderful thing today is both myself and Fred Bartlett will be interviewing a wonderful human being. His name is Dr. David Pauls. Well, to tell you about David, I'm going to have to use my notes because it's pretty involved. So I'd like to tell you some interesting things. He was teaching early in his career at Fresno Pacific University in California, and at that time he was recruited by Yale University, and he spent 20 years in the Child Study Center at Yale as a professor and researcher of psychiatric and neurobehavioral genetics. And then in September of 2001, he accepted the newly created position of Director of Psychiatric and Neurodevelopmental Genetics at Massachusetts General Hospital, which is a teaching hospital of Harvard University. Over the past 30 years, his research has focused primarily on the genetics of child neuropsychiatric disorders. And the wonderful thing is that under his research, it's led to a better understanding of the inheritance factors of Giles de la Tourette syndrome, obsessive-compulsive disorder, trichotillomania, specific reading disability, and also work in the autism spectrum disorders. His research has been elucidating the underlying etiologic mechanisms important for the expression of human behavior. He is the author of over 270 peer-reviewed articles, 60 book chapters, and 1 book. And I would say that the world is a better place for having Dr. David Pauls, having participated in many of these things that have caused such tragedy in private homes and in people's lives. And he has a gift that will benefit all future generations. He's given us a gift. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our first in a series of videos, myself and Fred interviewing Dr. David Pauls.